Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we've just got enough time at the end of the month to squeeze in my song lyric journal page in my circle journal, so my 8-inch circle journal. So as you've probably guessed from the thumbnail on the video, we're looking at a song today off of this page, made famous by the Mammas and Pappas back in the 60s. Now, I believe it was around about 1968 or thereabouts where this song was made famous. Now, I say made famous because the original song actually isn't theirs. Everybody kind of associates this song with the Mammas and Pappas because they're the ones that kind of gave it or had the most commercial success with that song since it was written. Now, when I was looking into the history of the song and also the history of Cass Elliot, because there's still a lot of urban myth surrounding how she passed away in 1974, and I just wanted to make sure that when I was doing this video that I didn't fall prey to all the falsehoods, if you like, that surrounded her passing. And I discovered more history to this song than I actually thought there was. So there we go. I thought, like many people probably did, that this song was originally, written by her or members of the band, but it wasn't. It was written a lot earlier than that. And I'll explain exactly who and why in a little while. All right, so you've just seen me put a layer of black gesso down on the page, and I've just used the black gesso from Gesso Good from Indigo Blue. So I've got a little bit that I've missed just there, so I'm going to just come back in and fill that in, but it's not, it's not 100% necessary. The entire page doesn't hinge on that one spot. So I'm just going to come over here and just do a little bit more there. So this page I've been planning for days, and I've almost started it 3 or 4 times and then got distracted and procrastinated and didn't do it 2 or 3 days ago, and now I'm having to do it now. And again, I've been prevaricating and procrastinating and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off this morning until I got to the point where I just thought, you know what, just sit down and do the blooming thing. And the reason I'm putting it off is because it's mostly going to be hand lettering. I know, hand lettering. And this is why I've been putting it off and putting it off, because I know my hand lettering is not the best. But let me just get that dried off one more time and then I'll be right back. All right, so I've just procrastinated again and gone and changed my drink. My coffee was cold, so I've just gone and got myself a soft drink. There we go. Right, so next step, I'm going to create some white splatters in the background. I'm going to create a bit of a mess because that's what we do, don't we? All right, so Mama Cass Elliot. So as I've already mentioned, died in 1974 at the age of 32. A talent sadly missed. Obviously died very well before her time. But there's a lot of myth about how she died. She did not die choking on a ham sandwich, as many people seem to think. She actually died of a heart attack in London. July 29th, I think it was, 1974. Yeah, she was over here in the UK. She had 4 nights of sellout solo concerts and died of a heart attack. Her daughter, later on, backed up by her best friend Michelle Phillips. I believe there's some connection there with the Beach Boys. Not sure. Anyway, a friend Michelle Phillips says it's probably caused by years and years and years of crash dieting that had weakened her heart. So yeah, definitely didn't die through choking on a ham sandwich. They did do an autopsy and they found no drugs or drink in her system. And it certainly wasn't drugs either. So there we go. So heart attack. Okay, so I've done the splatters down there using white gesso from Indigo Blue. So I'm using all gessos from them. Now, I'm going to be putting my main word across the middle here. And because I've just put splatters down there, I've not left any room. So the intention was to put the white splatters down and then to come back in again with a brush and just paint some of them out so that I can have a clear kind of canvas space to write the word that I want to have as the main focal. So we'll come back in here and just paint those out. I think maybe that should give me the space to be able to write the word that I want without having to worry about writing over over the white spots. In fact, let me just get rid of that one too. There we go. And I'm hoping that's definitely going to give me the room there to write the word that I want to do when we get to it. Okay, so once again, dry it off. All right, so I've got everything dried, painted out the middle part like you saw me doing, and then I've just brought a pencil in and I've just kind of sketched out where I want my letters to go. And I've realised that I've probably done them a bit too far down and I might have to paint out some more those splatters down here, but that's fine. So what I need to do next is come in with a couple of, well, I'm going to get 2 or 3 Posca pens because usually some of these don't work. And there's a fine point one there as well. So that this one's got a finer point, but sometimes the paint doesn't mix properly with this and it's a bit watery and a bit weak. Yeah, it's too weak, that one. So let's try with a bigger one. I'm going to do this. There we go. I'm hopefully going to be able to do this without blotting too much. So now I've committed myself. That's it. There's no going back. So this is where we hold our breath, because otherwise it just looks absolutely rubbish. So I'm just kind of going slowly and pressing kind of as lightly as I dare. But you're holding your breath as well, aren't you? Well, I know I would be. I'm hoping I'm not getting my head too much in shot while I'm trying to do this. Sometimes it is easier to try and do this kind of thing upside down. There we go, first mistake. But almost, but not quite. So I'm going to try and, let's just replenish the paint. Whew. And then this way. So I was having a conversation with my friend Kay the other day about creative lettering and about how it terrifies the bejesus out of most ordinary people that do art journaling. Most of us prefer to use pre-printed or typed out sentiments, phrases and quotes and things for our art journal pages. Most people are frightened to death to use their own handwriting because nobody likes their own handwriting unless they've spent years kind of practicing calligraphy and that kind of stuff. And you know, it's not one of those things that lots and lots and lots of people do. So most of us kind of cop out and use pre-printed or done on the computer or on label makers and that kind of thing. But my label maker has sadly died, so I'm looking at buying a new one, but I want one that I can change the fonts on, which is not cheap. These things never are they? So right, let's just get that dried off and then we'll be able to come back and just put the other writing at the bottom. Okie dokie, so we've got the stars written in, and now I do want to add some text at the bottom here, so I am going to get rid of these splodges down here. Perhaps it was maybe a bad idea to maybe do the splatters first, but do you know what? Like I've always said, I always try to show you my art journal pages honestly, mistakes, warts and all. So no, I'm not going to I'm not going to faff over it. And pretend like it didn't happen, because it did. So what we'll do is we'll just, and this is the thing with art journals, you can just cover stuff up like this. It's not a problem, not a problem at all. Paint is so forgiving. It's almost like when they X-ray paintings from the great masters, you know, like Da Vinci and that kind of stuff, and they can see where they've drawn a hand wrong and then they've changed it and moved its position. They call it pentimento, which shows that they've changed their minds or the mindset of when they were creating the painting. It's a marvellous thing. Obviously, without the advent of X-rays and all that kind of stuff, we'd never have known you know, that paintings had been changed halfway through. Sorry, just having a drink. So it is okay, because people like Da Vinci used to do it too. Right, so the next bit I'm going to add on in gold pen. So this is a Signo Uniball. It's a broad in gold, and it's a UM153, if that means anything to anybody. And I've got a couple of these because sometimes these things die on you mid-go. So I'm going to just write down the next line, just about here. They're just in kind of like normal writing. There we go. Whew, I can breathe easier now. Okay, so now we've got the shining bright, and I've done that, like I said, in the gold pen. So the next thing to do, because that's not it. Obviously, we've got to add in some more of those white splatters to create the stars there. But I also want to add in some bigger stars, and for that we have a new stencil. So this, if I can get some black card to show you, there we go. So this one is called Starry Night. So sorry for the shake. So created specifically for this art journal page today, because I realised that I wanted a star stencil that I could do big kind of shiny stars on, that wasn't too fiddly. And I didn't want them uniform, I wanted them kind of sketchy. So that's why these have got longer legs and they're a bit thinner and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be using this, but I'm also going to be using gold paint. Yay! So I've stolen this paint from Ian because I don't have any gold paint anywhere anymore. And this stuff is supposed to be really quite thick. Yeah, that's just stood up on its own there. So let me grab a little clean ink blending tool, and then we can start adding in some gold stars into that background. Right, brand new one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work the paint into the sponge. There we go. And then I can start to add some stars. And I don't mind if I go over some of the white ones that are already there. And we'll go over the edge as well there, look. And then I'm going to lift that off. I love it already. And then we can bring that over here. Sometimes you just have to go metallic. There's no other way sometimes. Sometimes it's just the thing to do. Oh, yes. And the good thing about this one is you can actually turn it. And we'll go here. Yeah, you can turn it round, so you've got different kind of directions for the stars to work in. Do a couple of little ones at this side. And because they're 5-pointed stars, you can pretty much do them whichever way around that you want. Alright, and a couple of small ones, so let's turn that stencil around and just pop those ones in there. And because the stencil is a little bit translucent, you can actually see where you're going. And remember, you can always come back again if they're not quite where you want them, or if they're not quite shiny enough. You can just clean your stencil off and then come back and then go over again. So, but I'm not going to do that. So let me clean my stencil, clean my desktop, and then I'll be right back. I think that's the majority of it. So just while I was cleaning this stencil off, I started thinking, or started singing another song called Starry Night. Starry, starry night, paint your palette blue and grey, or whatever the words were for it. But I don't know who sang that, so there you go. Right, so I'll put that to one side now that I've given that a bit of a clean up, seeing as this is the only one of its kind in existence at the moment. So we'll need that again at a later date. So Starry Night, this is on the website now if you want it, because I obviously cut to order with these things. All right, so let's bring the page back in again. So now we just need to add a few white splatters, but instead of doing them with the splatter brush, let's use the Posca pen. That way we've got much more control over where the splatters are going to land, and we can always come in and just put a few more ordered doodle dots around the page just to kind of make it look purposeful, almost like it was done on purpose. If you really, really wanted to, you could get some and then just no, I'm not going to do that. Knowing my look, it go all over the place. So there we go. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, quick blast, dry off, and back in a minute. All right, so of course, we haven't talked about the origins of the song, have we? So, Mammas the Pappas, 1968 or thereabouts, depending on where you are in the world, whether it was released 1967, 1966, 1968. But it wasn't theirs originally. So it was originally first performed, get this, in 1931. Yep, 1931. And it was actually first performed by Ozzie Nelson. So, and it was originally designed as a foxtrot. Yes, it was a dance track to be danced to in those fabulous nightclubs where you'd have the band playing and the dance floor in front and tables all the way around the outside with people having drinks and food, and where Indiana Jones and his friends would break out into a fight, and you know, Humphrey Bogart would be sat at one side with Audrey Hepburn and, you know, that kind of stuff, all dressed in tuxedos and beautiful evening dresses and all having drinks and talking about spies and Maltese falcons. Yeah, you can see where my head's gone to. So in 1931 by Ozzie Nelson, who incidentally was the father of Ricky Nelson. Yes, the 60s singer. Well, that kind of ties in pretty much because there are members of the Mammas and the Pappas who are also friends with the Nelson family too, which is why they first found out or heard about the song. So there you go. That's where it all kind of links together with Mama Cass Elliot. So, and it was also released by somebody else, by Chester Layton and his band, with vocals by Bobby Dix, again in 1931. But the first release of the track, the first release of the song, was actually by Ozzie Nelson back in 1931. So there you go. So on the back of here, what I'm going to write is Dream a Little Dream. (1931) Ozzie Nelson. And what else? What other information do we normally include on the back? We normally include the date that it was done. So today is Wednesday, the 29th of April. So we're just about on track, because the pages that we've done previously have all been done towards the back end of the month. Look, so February's was done on the 28th. I think I did March's. Here we go. Heroes done on the 28th as well. So we're all pretty much on track doing this at around about the same time each month. So there we go. And perhaps I shouldn't allow myself to be frightened of my own handwriting, of my own hand lettering. Just get on and do it. Why not? And I think those little curly cues there are just crying out for little gold dots, just to kind of tie it all together. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this art journal page today, which is my song lyric art journal page for the month of April. And I hope to be back very, very soon, because obviously this Saturday coming up is May's Mission Inspiration. So I will see you around for that one. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you've never heard the 1931 version of Dream a Little Dream of Me by Ozzie Nelson, there's a link in the description below the video. Enjoy. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.